Mary Kay Cabot ensured that the post-game headlines focus on failure rather than survival, even though Dylan Gabriel might have survived his first start. The Cleveland Browns are now rushing to explain why Shedeur Sanders, the team's most promising rookie, is still holding a clipboard after she said in a scathing takedown that Gabriel couldn't finish the job. In actuality, Gabriel did not crash and burn. He hesitated, again and again. Short passes, safe throws, no risks, and no rhythm. It appeared to be manageable against the Vikings, but in the AFC North, that kind of extremely conservative playbook won't work.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Defenses are not stupid. It's open season as soon as they determine that a quarterback cannot or will not stretch the field. Furthermore, Gabriel's size and vision problems in the pocket are liabilities that restrict the entire offense, not just minor annoyances. Cabot's remarks weren't unexpected. Fans' cries on every Browns forum, call-in show, and sideline microphone are being echoed. Where is Shedeur Sanders? Why does a dual-threat quarterback of NFL caliber, renowned for his mental toughness and exceptional vision, start for a team that obviously needs inspiration and direction? Patience is not the issue here. It's about squandering potential. The Browns appear to be internally paralyzed by their own obligations. Preserving Gabriel's growth? All right. However, not at the expense of ruining a season. Not after Sanders has shown himself in the face of greater scrutiny and pressure. They must quickly reevaluate if it's a contract issue or some preseason hierarchy bullshit, because it's being called out by the fans, the locker room, and now even reputable insiders like Cabot. In addition to being awkward, Shedeur's position on the bench is beginning to take on a political appearance. The writing is on the wall as long as Gabriel keeps depending on dependable throws and restricted movement. One poor pass did not cause the Browns to lose to the Vikings. Their quarterback's inability to lead the team was the reason they lost. Sanders has that equipment. At the moment, Gabriel doesn't. The Browns didn't lose to the Vikings because of one bad pass. They lost because their quarterback couldn't elevate the team. Sanders has that gear. Gabriel, for now, does not. So when Cabot made that comment, it wasn't just criticism, it was a warning shot. The leash is short, the patience is thin, and if Gabriel doesn't flip the script immediately, the Browns won't have a choice but to hand the keys to Sanders and hope it's not already too late. And this one is entirely of their own making. After a deflating loss to Minnesota Vikings, all eyes turned to the quarterback position, not because anyone expected magic, but because a decision to start Dylan Gabriel over Shedeur Sanders has officially lit a fuse under this franchise. And now, the blowback is here. Mary Kay Cabot, a voice no one in Cleveland takes lightly, didn't hold back. Her take? Gabriel couldn't finish the job. That's not some vague media spin or surface-level critique. That's a loaded statement from someone who knows what's happening inside the walls of the Browns facility. If she's going public like this, there's no way it's just about one loss. It's about what this choice represents and what it's already cost them. Gabriel got the start. He had the shot. And what did fans get in return? A timid, conservative performance built almost entirely on checkdowns and short throws. The kind of game plan you use when you're trying to not lose instead of trying to win. Sure, it might work against an unprepared or soft defense, but that's not going to hold up in this league. You can't play scared and expect offenses not to notice. And they did notice. Minnesota adjusted. They clamped down on the short game, crowded the box, and forced Gabriel to beat them with throws he clearly wasn't comfortable making. Deep balls? Barely attempted. Pocket presence? Shaky. Vision downfield? Virtually non-existent. The whole thing fell apart the second the Vikings figured out there was no vertical threat. So now the Browns are stuck with a quarterback whose play style is already too predictable and whose physical limitations, height, vision, lack of arm strength, are becoming hard to ignore. And sitting behind him, a quarterback with college stats, leadership traits, and natural ability that most scouts dream about. Shedeur Sanders wasn't benched because he couldn't perform. That much is obvious. This was a decision made somewhere between stubbornness and fear. Maybe they didn't want to throw him into the fire too soon. Maybe they were protecting Gabriel's confidence. Maybe it was a political move, contract dynamics, internal commitments, ego management. But whatever the reason, the end result is the same. They're wasting time. And the clock is ticking louder by the day. Fans aren't stupid. They see what's happening. They've watched this team cycle through a parade of failed quarterbacks. And now, when they finally have a guy with actual upside, someone who could be the long-term solution, they're watching him ride the bench while the offense flatlines. That disconnect between the coaching staff's decision and public sentiment is not just a gap, it's a chasm. Social media is in revolt. Analysts are openly questioning the logic, and insiders like Cabot are starting to call out what feels like an intentional delay in Sanders' development. No one's pretending this is a merit-based situation anymore. Everyone knows what they saw. Gabriel had a chance to prove he could carry the offense. Instead, he proved the exact opposite. And now the Browns have a problem. Because once you made the wrong call, the longer you stick with it, the harder it is to walk it back without admitting you blew it. That's what this is really about. Pride, ownership of a decision that clearly isn't working, and the fear of looking reactionary by changing course too quickly. But here's the reality. This isn't a panic move. It's a necessary one. Sanders isn't just a better athlete. He's better suited for this league. He's built for pressure. He's shown he can make reads, take hits, and keep pushing. Keeping him on the sideline while the offense sputters under Gabriel's check-down-heavy slow-motion style, that's not development. That's negligence. And it's not just about the present. It's about what this delay is doing to Sanders' future. Because you don't grow by watching. You grow by doing. Reps matter. Chemistry matters. Timing with receivers, rhythm under pressure, live game adjustments. None of that can be learned from a bench. Every week that Sanders doesn't play is a week of growth wasted. A week of misconnections with teammates. A week of momentum lost. And at some point, that starts to affect more than just the quarterback. It impacts the entire offensive identity. Because when your offense is built around a quarterback who can't stretch the field, defenses adjust. They press up. They load the box. They take away the run game and dare you to beat them deep. Something Gabriel hasn't shown he can do. That compresses the field and handcuffs your play calling. You think this locker room doesn't see it? Of course they do. Teammates know who can ball. They see it in practice. They feel it in the huddle. If they believe Sanders give them a better shot. But the coaching staff keeps rolling with Gabriel out of loyalty or stubbornness. That's when you lose the room. That's when the quiet frustration starts turning into something louder. And all of this is happening because the Browns don't want to admit what's already obvious to the rest of the world. Gabriel is not the answer. At least not right now. And pretending otherwise isn't saving his confidence. It's torching the team's momentum. So, where do they go from here? There's still a narrow window to fix this before it fully implodes. Make the switch. Put Sanders in. Let him learn in real time. Give him the reps, the trust, the chance to lead. Don't wait until the season is unsalvageable and then throw him into a mess that wasn't his to begin with. That's how you break quarterbacks. That's how you kill careers before they start. The idea that Sanders has to wait his turn while the team struggles under Gabriel is nonsense. This isn't college. This is the NFL. The guy who gives you the best shot should play. Period. The Browns aren't in a position to sacrifice winnable games to protect feelings. Not after all the years of instability. Not when the future is right there. And it's not like Sanders is some unknown project. He's a proven winner. He's shown he can read defenses, deliver under pressure, and rally a team. He brings energy. He brings leadership. He brings actual upside. And that upside is what Cleveland desperately needs right now. They need to stop dragging this out. Every game Gabriel starts is another missed opportunity. Another week of fans screaming for change. Another week of insider headlines questioning the plan. The longer they hold off, the more volatile the situation gets. And at some point, the coaching staff isn't just risking their record. They're risking their credibility. That's why Cabot's comments hit so hard. When she starts pointing out that Gabriel couldn't finish the job, it means the internal patience is wearing thin. It means the tide is shifting. And when the insiders start saying it out loud, the front office usually isn't far behind. So now we wait. But for what? A worse loss? More fan outrage? Another 3/4 of dink and dunk, followed by a fourth-quarter collapse? They don't need more evidence. They just need the courage to make the call. Start Sanders. Let him work. Let him struggle if he needs to. Let him grow. But above all, let him play. Because whether they like it or not, the longer they wait, the louder the crowd gets. And this isn't a crowd that's going to quiet down until they see number 2 out there taking snaps. This isn't just a quarterback controversy anymore. It's a referendum on the Browns' ability to manage talent, handle pressure, and prioritize results over ego. So the question is, how much longer can they hold out before they cave? Because they will cave. That much is guaranteed. The only question is whether it happens before the season slips away completely or after the damage is already done. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Are the Browns botching this QB situation beyond repair? Is it time to make the change? Or do you think Gabriel still deserves a shot? And if you're done watching teams fumble their future while the answer stands on a sideline with a clipboard, make sure to subscribe. Because this isn't the last meltdown we'll see, and you'll want to be here when the next one hits. No one was expecting Dylan Gabriel to light the league on fire, but the hope, the bare minimum, was that he could manage a game, hold the offense together, and maybe, just maybe, prove he deserved another start. But instead, he gave us a flat line. A game plan straight out of the just don't screw up playbook. The kind of performance that keeps punters busy and receivers frustrated. And now, the Browns are acting like they're stuck. Like they can't pivot. Like naming Shedeur Sanders the starter would somehow shatter the fragile ecosystem they've built around mediocrity. But let's be real, it's already shattered. When your most trusted team insider, Mary Kay Cabot, publicly says your rookie quarterback couldn't finish the job, you've already lost a narrative. You're not controlling the story anymore. You're reacting to it. And you're doing it under a spotlight that's only getting hotter. Because this isn't just about Sanders versus Gabriel. It's about leadership, vision, the ability to see what's happening and adapt before it's too late. The Browns are treating this like it's a hard decision. Like both quarterbacks are equal options and they're just working out the timing. But there is nothing equal about this. One guy is giving you a stalled offense and no upside. The other has the tools to shift your entire identity. And that's why fans are so fed up. It's not just that Gabriel struggled. It's that there's a better option, and the team is choosing to ignore it. It's that they're playing favorites, protecting decisions instead of producing results. You can't convince people you're trying to win when the best quarterback on your roster hasn't seen a meaningful snap. And don't underestimate how loud this is going to get. Right now, it's pressure. But pressure turns into outrage quickly. All it takes is one more loss. One more post-game presser, where the coach tries to sell Gabriel's 11-yard third down check down as a smart decision. One more highlight reel of missed reads and backpedaling sacks. And this thing boils over. You don't think Shedeur Sanders hears it, feels it? He knows the conversation is shifting. He knows the media is on his side. He knows the fans are chanting his name on third downs. And you better believe the locker room feels it too. That's the part that's going to hurt the most. When players start looking around and wondering why the obvious move still hasn't been made. When your wide receivers stop believing the ball will ever come their way. When your offensive line loses faith in the guy behind them. When your defense starts wondering why they're playing their hearts out just to see another 3 and out. That's the fracture you don't come back from. And the longer the Browns pretend they have time, the more damage they do to their own roster. Because this team isn't hopeless. This isn't rebuild. They have weapons. They have potential. What they don't have is a quarterback who can maximize it. Gabriel's game style isn't just conservative. It's limiting. It shrinks the field. It slows down the tempo. It forces your entire offense to play tight, cautious, and reactive. And when defenses start figuring that out, game over. And now we're seeing it. Defenders sitting on short routes. Corners jumping checkdowns. Linebackers pinning their ears back with zero fear of getting beat deep. You're telling me this is a plan? Meanwhile, Sanders is sitting there. Not because he's injured. Not because he's underperforming in practice. But because someone, somewhere, made a preseason promise to Gabriel. And now they're too afraid to walk it back. It's ego. Plain and simple. They thought they were being clever. They thought easing Sanders and would be the safer play. But what they didn't count on was Gabriel playing this poorly, this early, and in this loud of market. Because in Cleveland, patience is paper thin. And it should be. This isn't year one of a rebuild. This is a team with expectations. A team with momentum. A team that had a chance to finally turn the page. And instead, they're clinging to a QB whose game plan is don't lose too bad. That's not going to cut it. Mary Kay didn't speak out because she was frustrated with one bad game. She spoke out because she's hearing what fans are hearing. She's seeing what players are seeing. She's connected, and her comments weren't just analysis. They were a signal. The walls are closing in, and when respected voices start questioning the starter publicly, it forces the front office to respond. Because now, the media has permission. Now, the questions at pressers are direct. When will Sanders start? What has Gabriel shown that justifies another start? Is this team prioritizing development or just protecting a mistake? Those questions don't go away. They multiply. So now the Browns have a choice. Either keep doubling down on a losing hand, or admit it's time to fold and start playing real football. The kind that uses all your talent. The kind that doesn't bench your best player for politics. The kind that lets your future QB actually be your quarterback. It's not too late, but it's close. Because every week they delay makes this harder. Every pass Gabriel throws behind the line of scrimmage makes the next press conference more awkward. Every failed drive puts more pressure on Sanders to be perfect the second he steps in. And that's the cruel part. The longer they wait, the more they build up the myth of Sanders as a savior. And when he finally plays, he's not just the next quarterback. He's the last hope. And that's not fair to him. That's not how you develop a leader. You want him to grow? Let him get in there now. Let him throw. Let him scramble. Let him make mistakes. Let him build timing with his guys. Let him earn their trust in live reps, not in garbage time when the season's already cooked. It's so simple. And yet, here we are, still debating why a check-down specialist with vision problems and zero deep ball threat is starting over a mobile, confident quarterback with proven leadership and high-level college performance. You know what this really is? It's fear disguised as caution. It's risk aversion masquerading as process. And it's going to cost them more than just games. It's going to cost them momentum, buy-in, and maybe even the locker room. The Browns can't afford another quarterback controversy that drags on for half a season. They can't afford to see how it plays out while fans rage and the offense drags. They have the answer. They've had it all along. They just haven't had the guts to use it. But that moment is coming. And when it does, when the inevitable switch to Sanders finally happens, it's going to feel less like a spark and more like a rescue operation. One that should have happened weeks ago. So the only question left is this. Will the Browns do the right thing before the season collapses or after? This wasn't supposed to be a quarterback controversy. The moment the Browns drafted Shedeur Sanders, people knew what the timeline should have been. Let Gabriel sit behind him, not the other way around. Develop him slowly if you want, sure. But don't pretend this offense was ever built around Dylan Gabriel, because it wasn't. And yet, they flipped the script. They benched a guy who looked ready and handed the keys to someone who clearly isn't. And now that it's blowing up, they're dragging their feet, still defending Gabriel's composure, still pretending checkdowns are some kind of strategic brilliance, still acting like this fan revolt is premature. It's not, because what this really is, what Mary Kay Cabot's comments tapped into, is frustration at being lied to. The front office sold this as a quarterback room full of options. Open competition, they said. Best man wins, they claimed. But no one believes that now. Not after what we just saw. Not after Gabriel threw short of the sticks all game. Couldn't move the chains. And still walked out of that tunnel as a presumed starter for next week. It's not performance-based. It's protection-based. They're trying to protect Gabriel from a noise. From the media. From the fans. From himself. But while they baby one quarterback, they're stalling the other. And the irony is brutal. In trying to protect the guy who's not the future, they're sacrificing the guy who is. Sanders isn't just another rookie. He's not some raw, developmental gamble. He's a proven leader, mentally tough, and has the kind of pocket awareness that can't be taught. And yet, instead of putting him in position to grow, they've left him in the worst possible spot, invisible but expected to save everything. Because let's be clear, the moment he steps on the field, the weight of this entire situation falls on his shoulders. Every fan expectation, every media headline, every locker room whisper, all of it. And it didn't have to be this way. If they had started Sanders from the beginning, or at least inserted him after Gabriel's clear struggles, they'd be given the chance to evolve with the team. But now, the Browns have backed themselves into a corner. Gabriel flops again, and the change looks desperate. Sanders goes in and isn't instantly electric. Cue the overreactions. And what do you think happens then? The cycle starts. The noise gets louder. The same people defending Gabriel's slow starts will start dissecting every Sanders misstep, every underthrown ball, every stall drive. And not because he deserves it, but because the organization waited too long. They're not setting him up for success. They're setting him up for a rescue mission. And that's the danger here. Not just that Gabriel's play isn't working, but that this delay could damage both quarterbacks. Gabriel's confidence is already fragile, and Sanders is being thrust into a mess he didn't create. All because the Browns didn't want to pull the plug fast enough. There's still a way out, but it requires leadership. It requires someone in that front office or coaching room to say the quiet part out loud. We got it wrong. And most of all, it requires action. Because this team doesn't need a narrative fix. It needs a real one. And the fix is sitting on the bench, waiting for someone to let him take control of the huddle. You can't keep pretending this offense is fine. You can't keep dressing up 3-yard checkdowns as smart decision-making. And you definitely can't keep ignoring the mounting frustration inside the locker room, in the fan base, and yes, in the media. Mary Kay Cabot said what most people were too cautious to say. Dylan Gabriel isn't getting it done. And now, the Browns are either going to listen and course correct, or they're going to keep sleepwalking into another wasted season. It's your move, Cleveland. And this time, the whole league's watching. So what do you think? Are the Browns just being overly cautious, or is this turning into another classic case of self-sabotage? Drop your takes in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe if you're here for every twist, turn, and meltdown the NFL serves up next. Because something tells me this saga is far from over.